Welcome to Noble Gold's National Debt Series. In this series of videos, let's understand some of the concepts that are affecting the value of our money. For this episode, let's talk about the debt ceiling. Like the rest of us, governments must borrow when they spend more money than they receive. They do so by issuing bonds, which are effectively IOUs with a promise to repay the money and make regular interest payments. Government debt is the total sum of all this borrowed money. The debt ceiling, which Congress established a century ago, is the maximum amount the government can borrow. It's a limit on the national debt. The debt ceiling is a cap on the amount of money the U.S. government can borrow to pay its debts. Every year, Congress passes a budget that includes government spending on infrastructure, programs such as Social Security, and salaries for federal workers. Congress also taxes people to pay for all that spending. But for years, the government has been spending more than it takes in from taxes and other revenue, increasing the federal deficit. The government needs to borrow money to continue paying out what Congress has already okayed. Now, why should you care about this? If the government cannot borrow money to continue paying for the programs, there will be a real-world effect for millions of Americans. Here are some of the potential effects, according to Yellen, the White House, and the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, a nonpartisan organization. 15 million seniors could stop receiving Social Security payments or see delays. 30 million families could stop receiving President Joe Biden's expanded child tax credit payment or see delays. U.S. military service members could stop receiving paychecks. Veteran benefits could be stopped or delayed. I could go on and on. Moody's Analytics has estimated that even a long impasse over the debt ceiling could cause the loss of nearly 6 million jobs, increase the unemployment rate to 9% from 5.2% right now, and cause the stock market to lose about a third of its value, wiping out $15 trillion in household debt. Would this be worse than the government shutdown? Yes, this is even bigger than a government shutdown. Government shutdown occurs when Congress does not approve a spending bill for the next fiscal year. So no new payments such as paychecks are stopped. In 2019, around 800,000 federal employees were impacted by a government shutdown and the markets dipped. Since the debt ceiling was instituted in 1917, Congress has never not raised the debt ceiling. Congress has voted 80 times to raise or suspend the debt limit since 1960. So the question is, why do we even have a debt ceiling? 100 years ago, Congress used to have to okay every instance of borrowing money, a major inconvenience in their eyes. So in 1917, Congress passed a debt ceiling, which would allow the Treasury Department to borrow more money for any approved spending without getting permission from Congress, up to a certain limit. The limit exists to ensure the power of the purse or the ability to determine government spending stays with the legislative branch instead of shifting to the Treasury Department. And that's the debt ceiling for you. Next up, the national debt.